And we are back here, guys. We are going to be talking to you, the viewers, about. I don't know why we have this much. Okay, I won't lie, guys. Wolves won a game. So let me have this moment. Wolverhampton won a game. And that's all I'm going to say about wins because I won't say anything about anyone who is with me. But we're here to talk about teams who need wins in CONCACAF Nations League. We have eight teams battling for four spots going through. Mr. JD slash Billy slash I don't know what else to call you today. Citizen of the Blue Manchester. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much for having me. Hi everyone, everyone that's watching. Yes, as you know, it's all about the wins. So we're here to dissect it for you guys to see if we can be as accurate as possible. I'm hoping that Wolves get some wins in the future, but it's going to be tough blood. All right. So I am here. How are you doing? As well, Mr. Africans.
I'm
Aside from
doing
the one win that Wolves got.
aside from the one win, I'm doing all
Yes.
right. I'm excited for these matchups that we have coming up for CONCACAF Nations Leagues. I mean, we talked about them a little bit last week, was it? Or 2 weeks ago, who knows? But we did four matchups in the quarterfinals: Costa Rica, Panama, Jamaica, United States, Suriname, Canada, as well as Honduras and Mexico. We are in the week where it begins. We will have results at some point this week for their first leg. And I'm pretty much excited. Which one of these matchups right now to you is the most intriguing, especially just whether from a stylistic standpoint or just from a rivalry standpoint?
I would say for the rivalry standpoint, would have to be Costa Rica, Panama,
Mhm.
because Panama have been defeating Costa Rica for the last billion years since the dinosaurs, you know. But for some reason, Costa Rica looked better than Panama now. But obviously, all of the wins Panama collected. So, are they going to keep their position? I think it's going to be a tough one because Panama is a crafty team, but Costa
Mm.
Rica has a lot of players that's in good form and playing at high places over just a 2.5 years span.
Yeah.
So the last time they have played, these guys have gotten ridiculously better. So that's the tightest actual game, and the more battled the game because they played each other so much times in the last 2.5 years, 3 years.
No, I agree. And I think that's the thing that I like about these matchups, that they're all repeat matchups for the teams, right? Panama versus Costa Rica feels like they're destined to play every year in some way, shape, or form. Jamaica versus the United States, we saw them play each other in the Gold
The
Cup
Gold Cup,
last year in the
yes.
group, and we saw an interesting result there coming through. Canada versus Suriname. This takes Canadians and Surinamese back what, three
Yes.
years or four,
Yes, for the
four
World Cup
years where it
before
felt
the
like
World Cup
right,
qualifiers start, because remember it was Canada, Suriname, and 80 fighting for that one spot to go into the X. Yeah, yeah, I remember that
right.
well. That was great times, you know. Well,
They were
I can
stressful
say
times.
all three of them playing. They've risen. I need to do a video on that to break down who have actually lifted themselves to the highest, because even though Canada is at the apex at this point, you can't. Where was Suriname before? So where they are today, it's a good conversation and we can break it down.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's a fair conversation because back then, I don't know if we had the trust in this Canadian team to get results at this level, right? And you remember that group, like they were going, Canada would beat a team 5-0, Suriname would beat that
Yes.
same team 6-0,
6-0.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Canada would beat a team 11-0, they'd beat that team 7-0, and it goes
Yes,
back and
yes,
forth. So it
yes.
was just like, okay, on paper, this is that. And for Canadian fans, we were just coming off of being up 2-0 against Haiti in the Gold Cup and then losing that game 3-2. So there was a degree of, can they actually do this? Now, I think a few years later, I feel much more confident in them and being able to
Yes,
get these
facts,
results.
facts.
But I mean, that's not to take away from the fact that Suriname is still an improving side. The Geraldo Beckers of the world. I saw Han is back and being called back in net. I don't know if they're going to start him, but
No, he's
still,
not going to get started over
I don't
Hassan at
think
all.
I don't think either. But like, it's good to see like some of those familiar faces and such. But it's good to kind of work through and kind of see how they come. And then at the end, Honduras versus Mexico, we saw them right before, what was it, Nations League, the last Nations League, where they fought, and again, waiting for the whistle to go eventually.
Oh, here we go about this
I
10
will not stop with the whistle.
17,000. Oh my.
Okay,
I,
I don't care if it's
I,
suggested. If it says 7 and we're at 15, This isn't the World Cup. They'd give me 15.
I
Okay.
heard you. I heard you. All right, sir. So let we start. Based on what you saw, I think what we're gonna do, we're gonna focus on merely two, and then look have some different conversations on the Honduras and the Panama. All right. So, for instance, we saw both rosters for Jamaica, United States.
Yes.
How are you looking at it now?
That is a very it's interesting because right with the US roster, right, you have the 23, the names are there. I know there were some people who were hoping American wives, hoping for maybe some dual nationals to come through, hoping for something like that. But the US is injured at the 9, so you're probably going with Pepe up
Nine,
top
yes.
going.
Defensive
Um,
central, Tyler Adams as well.
no Adams as well. So and then you didn't have Reyna, which was realistically the type of player that kind of started to. I won't even say they didn't unlock the US for them. I think the US was playing well. They just weren't able to solve the goalkeeper issue when it came to Jamaica when they played in Nations League semis. But this team feels I'd say typical for the Americans. The names that you'd be looking for, maybe that would maybe say, okay, this is their strongest lineup. It's clearly not. But I think from the US standpoint, I think it's a good side. The question is, can the players who would normally be able to do well for a club, can they finally translate that for the for the national team level, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can the Tillmans of the world, right? Can they, though they're playing well for club, can they now translate that to the national team level? So I think for me, that's what it is. This feels like it's a roster that's built specifically where you're going to need Weston McKinney, you're going to need Christian Pulisic to really play well and come through. What about you for this American roster? Anything that stands out for you that's exciting? Any questions you have? I know you'll put on your Jamaican hat in a minute, but anything that you see that says maybe there's an opportunity, maybe not, we'll see.
Well, the main thing that stood out for me is their coach and their intention. What we saw here, we have Mr. Aronson as an attacking midfielder. In this one, obviously he can play out wide. We saw that Pochettino decides that he's going to use more pressing metrics in attacking midfield
Yeah.
instead of creativity. Yeah, as what you just said, my boy is injured as well, so that kind of helps him his decision. I don't know if he's going to go in the future with that, but we all know what he brings to the table. So the first thing I saw from United States here is them remaining professional. We're not seeing USL players. We're not seeing players from leagues that don't register. You understand me? We're seeing professional players. So they expect when you bring in professional players, you don't have any low level to conversate on. I give you the instruction, you don't fulfill it, you don't return back. You understand me? So I like that. I like that about them because we saw Pulisic. Pulisic is one of the best wingers in the actual world. Aside with Lukman Salah, I think Pulisic is up there in the top 5 best informed wingers. So we got to give him his flowers right there. Way touched that very good form, and he's going to be out for one of the games. So that kind of benefit Jamaica as well. But he can play striker in one as well. So don't be surprised if you see him playing striker in front of Pepe as well, because Zendeas is also a winger. So I saw their squad is rounded in all position. It's rounded, but definitely in the midfield position for me, I think they are dominant. Because it's not about how good you are, it's about who you're actually facing. So if you're not as good as Argentina, yeah, but if you're better than Jamaica and Mexico, what matters? Because when you get to Argentina, you can tweak things to get to that level. So in a CONCACAF conversation, their midfield is dominant. Western McKennie is very good. Buzio is good. RNC is good. Musa is very good as well. Tillman showcased that when he turns it on, sometimes he's unplayable. You understand me? I saw him in the Champions League the other day, and good,
Yeah.
my good, nah. Oh, yeah. So I am impressed with their squad. Yes, they have keepers problem, I would say, and I think that is one of the strengths for Jamaica in the keepers side. So the keepers problem, who can save shots? can't use their foot. Who can use their foot can't save shots.
Yep.
So I think they need to cut one of them off and off and put them together again and get the complete keeper.
This is
So,
not Frankenstein's monster, but no, I think that's a
so
fair point.
that
Yeah.
is where I think they have their problems in the keeper side.
Mhm.
But if you can't create, I don't know how much the keeper will get important. You understand me? So I don't know. I am tough here. But I think the deeper six role and the keeper's role, and the last time for me, Scully had some problems with Cephas with the speed. So I don't know if he has improved that in the Bundesliga. We have to wait and see. But it's a high caliber player. So I expect him to do that. You saw the difference? You see the difference?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Am I talking about professional players? And I expect them to improve something.
I do think though with Scally though, if we've learned anything from Poch is that they do like to play that three at the back when they have possession and kind of hold him back, which I wonder if they'll do that when Des comes back. But I think holding him as a outside center back might actually suit him a little bit better, giving him a little bit more coverage instead of leaving him more isolated when if he tries to advance the ball, then you leave all that space behind. So it could be interesting to see how that now adjusts to playing Jamaica, whose squad is interesting. I mean, I always have the same question with Jamaica anytime their squad comes out, which is midfield question mark answer. Who knows? But you've seen the Jamaican squad here, a lot of familiar names, a lot of good turns, a lot of players who I think how many players are missing their game? Because we know Way is probably missing that game, but Antonio is missing the first game.
Yeah,
And Jamaica,
Antonio is
right?
the only one
Okay.
should be able to miss the game, but Ethan Pinnock will not be there as well. You know, yes. So you can scratch off Ethan Pinnock of that, but we might have had we might have a next superstar coming out of Jamaica. So I think we can just put someone in that position. I don't think that would be any problem.
Okay.
To replace Ethan Pinnock. Yeah, man. I think we have a lot in Jamaica. Nobody knows about them aside from the people inside Jamaica, but obviously they don't get the visibility. So maybe that's the reason. So yeah, I'm hoping to see one of them fill that spot. Yeah. So we can actually get to know them fast. So we can talk about if Ethan Pinnock is not there, we have an next Ethan Pinnock down there. We thought that King would have been the Ethan Pinnock, but we're still waiting around 3 years later. But
Yeah.
obviously the cameras them on now, so we are going to see that now. Yeah. So what are your takes on the Jamaica squad? Because I've not given mine as yet. I know you might saw my video. Yeah.
Oh, the video?
Yes.
Never. No. I think for me, anytime I talk about Jamaica, the question is always, can you do enough of the midfield to do it? On the wings, you're going to have the speed. Your nines are going to be serviceable. Your back line, will it be solid? You assume. I mean, it's nice to see Mason Holgate and Isaac Hayden finally in that Jamaican shirt. I know we've been talking about players like that for years, and they finally came in. So good on them for finally coming in. But the question, it's new players into a squad. And so the question is, can they put it through and can they gel enough to get this result? In the middle is really what I want to see. I don't know if you're going to play a US side, you're probably going to hit back and try to hit on a counter. So are you going to play players that can counter but can defend? And I think that's going to be the question that I have for them. All right. I know Casey Palmer, for example, has had a good couple games there, but I wonder if they're going to put him in a position where they say, hey, we want you to be more of that defensive player, but then move the ball up? Or do we want you to be more of a 10 and just hang out with the two strikers? And once you get the ball, you have some numbers that you can work on in counter. So I'm curious. It's always the midfield for me. Goalkeeper, Andre Blake is the best goalkeeper in this matchup, which maybe gives them a chance. But then that just because you have the best goalkeeper doesn't mean you should play always to say, it's okay, we have him, we're good. It's okay. Let them have all the shots. I don't think that's the healthiest way to go through it. But I think for me, it's the midfield. Ultimately, does Leon Bailey even play? Because it seems every time, whether it's fair or not, there's always an injury that just happens to happen right before the call-ups happen, and then he's unable to go. If he's able to come, they gives him some wing potential, and then from there you go. But I think, to me, it always comes down to the midfield. If you're going to play Joel Latiba Deer in the midfield. Is he going to be able to be solid as that 6, as that holding? If you're going to play him as more of a 8, midfield is always a question, and midfield will be what I'm looking at for them. Because I think if they can get something good out of that, it bodes well for their chances, because then get the ball up to your playmakers and they can maybe create something. They're not as, say, I mean, Bailey is definitely in better form than he was at, say, the Gold Cup last time. Before that, it was the Mari Gray show. But I think it'll be interesting to see if they can get that production in the midfield. If they at least be disruptive, maybe they can open the door to do some fun things there as well.
Okay. Well, because I might have some more inside knowledge. It's not just the midfield I'm worried about. I think I'm worried about almost every field. So the mid defense and the forward field.
Okay.
All right. Yes, because Mikel Antonio will be out for the first game. So that leaves us with Liam Bailey, not on form, barely stabilizing his minutes now.
Yeah.
So that will determine if he goes on form. Damar Gray have not played in the last 2 months, pretty much. So I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's lifting weights, running up and down. I don't know, but he's not playing football, so I don't know what he's doing. So that is definitely a big one. Shamar Nicholson fighting for game with Ugalde in Russia,
Yeah.
which Ugalde him and him sharing good games, so that is nice. All right, so he's getting back some minutes. So I think Shamar Nichols might be the most informed player we have in the
True.
forward line. Kaim Dixon, I don't know how he gets selected, because I don't know what he does to get selected, because he doesn't play a game to get selected. So I don't know. These are some of the miracle selections that you can't understand what the players does, like what you saw from them. So that means they can just do something from like 6 months, and yes, they can do it every time. They don't have to play football, because he's like the 5th choice in Charlton, and that's in the U21s. But yet still he's good enough for Jamaica national team. Stephens is not the best form he's in either. Romario Williams, I actually like his effort that he gives, Yeah, but sometimes the overall quality might just not be there for a player. You understand me? But I think he always gives his all, to be honest. All right. Then in midfield, I heard I think the coach have lost the plot. Already maybe he's drinking too much rum in Jamaica, or the food getting to him. I don't know. I don't think he knows what he's saying. It makes no sense. He said KC Palmer is not a 10 when KC Palmer was created to be a 10 only in his life. And all of a sudden he's playing deeper. And then he's saying Maggie is the player that he's looking for. Well, nobody believes that, because he's not playing for no club aside from a USL club. You understand me? So it is, I don't know. I don't know if his aim is to find the greatest hopes in Jamaica and just put them together. Maybe that is his aim, because he doesn't want the English players them to leave England, so England can be bigger. You understand me? So maybe that is his aim, because at this point, I think I have listened to him in the press conference, and it's a bunch of garbage he's talking. So I am worried about every position. Because inactivity, it kills his team. Isaac Hayden, very good player, but he has not played for almost a couple months well now, 4, 5, 6 months. You understand me? Proper game. So he can't start for you. So you can take him off as a starter. Anderson is playing attacking midfielder. All right. So that means Joel Latibodier will be the standout starter in this game. Can he take on Weston McKennie, Musa, Aronson and himself? I would say hell no, because he couldn't take on not even 2 of Honduras team players, and I don't think Honduras is better than United States midfield. You understand me? So it's going to be tough. And then at the back now, Damian Lowe and Bernard has to do everything. Can they do everything? That is a question. I am not sure. I don't even think so.
And I think that to me is the thing. Like that's my one concern looking at Jamaica. It's just for the players that they have, the style that they've played. Like we saw the Honduras game, right? And to me, that was like, well, if you're gonna play counter when you have players who should be better on the ball, who can possess a little better, if you're gonna say sit back and then try to counter that, well, I feel like that's what they're gonna do against the US. And so are you going to put the players out who can do that properly? Because if he's saying he wants a 10 to do that, and then you're going to play like McGee is a creative 10
I
at that
love
level.
what you just said. Can't finish. I mean,
No, and so to me, the conversation is, well, if that's who you're going to play there, why are you going to sit back and defend and try to play counter when you need to rely on your play? You need to rely, if you're going to sit back and counter, you need to rely on all 10 of your outfield players. You can't rely
that
on
is the
8.
problem, Africans, for Jamaica in the last 10 years. Because they're picking players off name and the instruction that they're giving the players can't match it. Because you say you're going to put on a creative player when you're not playing creative football. So that player will automatically become a defensive player. So what he's going to become? A liability, right?
There's not much more he can be
Unless
your plan is to play with the ball that way. So I think that to me is more than just say, hey, you have players playing at different levels. I think stylistically, that is my concern with that matchup. Because if I look at them, I say, okay. Like, and we'll get to the Suriname Canada game.
Yes, we want to finish this one up.
Yeah.
So you see it looking, because for me it's not looking good for Jamaica. Because I don't see none of the things should be even competing with United States. The only good thing is United States don't travel well.
Yeah.
I think could use it as an excuse, to say that they don't travel well, so it can benefit us,
No, for me, I think this feels like the one thing I do need to ask myself is, this is a U.S. side that has still it's still the main core of a U.S. side that has still struggled to play on the road. And so could I see them losing a game 1-0 in Jamaica and then coming back and then battering them in the U.S.? Yes. Do I think that will happen? I think it'll be tighter because I don't trust this roster. This coach is still unproven in this region, but I think this roster, they have proven consistently to not be good on the road for whatever reason. So I could see this game ending maybe 1-0 or ending either, the best case scenario for Jamaica would be like a 1-0 win. Would I expect to happen? Is actually my prediction. I'm going with like a 1-1 draw. That's what I expect to happen. And the worst case for Jamaica or the best case for the US is they go down there, doesn't matter who is there, and it's 3-0 and it's not even a conversation. But I think it ends in a 1-1 draw, just because I don't necessarily trust this side. Now, maybe with Pochettino, they look at Jamaican grass and say it's okay. We'll be fine, and they're able to get the result. But I haven't seen them look good on the road yet. And so to me, I think a draw, though it would be disappointing for some American fans, I think is more than realistic. Yeah. I think that will be what happens. And then in the US leg, it's oh, say can you see the bombs, whatever the lines are, it's goal after goal after goal, and they're there. So I think the US wins this draw, these two legs overall. But I think the Jamaican one is a little bit more cagey and tight because of how they play. And I think so it's a draw away for the US, but then a big win at home for them, and they get it done.
Okay, well, I'm going to go on the reverse side. I'm going to say both of the games is going to be I agree with you that the United States will have the bigger advantage at home, but I think also in Jamaica, based on what I've seen, I think that it's going to be as tough. It's not going to be 1-1. It's going to be more than that as well. Like if Jamaica should get a draw out of this, it has to be about 2 goals. I just see them creating a lot more chances, and because remember you had Lozano for Honduras missing chances, just can't finish. He's in front of the goalkeeper.
Fair
decide
point.
That okay, well, I don't know what to do today. So man of the match, Blake, just take the ball. You understand me? Those things happen. They had happened. Jamaica never had a shot for a million years.
I watched the game
complaining in the stands, saying, "What am I watching?"
See, now the more you're talking, the more I'm like, why would I give it a draw? And now I'm just so.
Because United States does not travel well, so I totally agree, and that's the only thing I'm holding on to. United States don't travel well, so that can aid us. But the problem is Jamaica don't travel well or play good at home, so it comes like I don't know what to believe. So people watching, let me know what will happen, because United States don't travel well, but Jamaica don't travel nowhere and do anything at all. The only good game we have is the Cuba game, and we never won that game, and people complain about the style because I like the Cuba game, but people say, "Oh, we're not winning," and I'm all about winning. Then we start winning and can't play good. This is garbage football. I don't know. I don't know. All right. So, guys, Jamaica versus United States. Give me your predictions right there. All right.
Mhm. And guys, we'll be back with some more. Keep your eyes out peeled out for the next few previews coming out, and we'll be there. But until then, we'll just say bye-bye for now.